And so maybe it's a manifestation of that. It's sort of like when Americans go around wearing their college jumpers slash sweaters. Because I
Oh,
think
my friends, I find it so beautiful that you guys are so patriotic. The other day, I ended up asking for photos of you having a flag at home, and I got so many photos. It's kind of touching, actually. And this also happens to me. You guys always tend to tell me what state you are from, and I'm gonna do something really special on this video. The comment section is for you, my friend. Tell me from what state you are watching right now, because I take a look at most comments, and I really love how patriotic you guys are about your country, and a lot of times also about your state. 7 questions Brits always ask me about America and its people. My friends, I'm super excited for this one. I tend to love this type of videos, but before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. Now, if you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description, and also.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and
Hey,
I'm on a
Lawrence.
quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost
I
in
know.
the pond, and one of those memos pertains to questions. Specifically, questions that British people ask me about the United States and its people.
Like
I'm
what?
Lawrence Brown, and this video is sponsored by Squarespace.
If you've been paying attention, you may remember that last week I did the exact reverse of this video when I looked at 7 questions that America
Why do British people like to hate on Americans? My friends, I did not saw that video. You know what? Leave me a like if I should watch that one. You know, if this video gets very well, goes very well, I assume you guys would like me to see, let's say, part 2 of this.
may remember that last week I did the exact reverse of this video when I looked at 7 questions that Americans always ask me about Britain and its people. And as somebody who's lived in the United States now for ages, I do indeed get a lot of questions from people back home, such as, "Ooh, Lawrence, do you think you'll ever develop an American accent?" Or,
What?
"Why is Arkansas pronounced Arkansas, not Arkansas?" I did a YouTube show
Arkansas. Oh my god, I tend to say Arkansas also. Hey, this is bad. This is really bad. Okay, Arkansas, not Arkansas. Okay.
thought about it already. And so I'm drawing on all of my expertise of living in the United States to answer questions like these today, so that maybe all of the British friends and family members that are asking these questions finally shut the up. That said, I really like people, and since we're on our way to 1 million subscribers, if you're not yet one of them, do that now!
My friends, do it for me also.
In the meantime, here are 7 of the most common questions that I get asked by British people about America and
Let's see it.
Americans.
Why do Americans call their sport football? I also. This is a great question, my friends. I also have no idea.
Number 1, why do Americans call their sport football when they don't use their feet? Well,
Why?
firstly, that's not entirely true. I mean, I think we've all seen it where a player takes the ball, puts
true.
it down, kicks it, in slow motion, that might just be in the movies, and everybody goes crazy, so it must be an important part of the sport. But secondly, I did some Googling, and I found out that it's called football because of the sports from which it's derived. See, back in the 19th century, Britain was developing a series of ball games. One of them, famously, was soccer, or to give it its full name, association football. And this was called association football because they had to differentiate it from something else called rugby football. Rugby football did indeed go by the name of rugby football, and in fact sometimes does to this day, despite the fact that they too don't use their feet unless they're kicking it over a giant H or down the field, or maybe some other ways. And American style football basically took its cues from rugby football, and the name stuck.
Okay. Why is American bread so sweet? I never had American bread, but a lot of people tell me that American bread tends to be quite more sweet than the one we have here.
Alright, this question I get a lot. Why is American bread so sweet?
Sugar,
and we have to
probably.
make a bit of a distinction here, because the bread that we're talking about is the kind of store-bought bread that you get in supermarkets that are used for sandwiches. And it's true, one of my earliest experiences in this country was raiding my mother-in-law's bread bin when I was hungry late at night. And I was really excited because, as everybody knows, there's nothing better than bread and butter at midnight. That's just me, right. But it was really sweet. It was almost like I was having a late night dessert. And basically, this additional sweetness on American bread comes down to one word: Added sugar. That's 2 words. And it's
Shocking.
true. As somebody who gave up added sugar a couple of years ago, I was shocked to find just how much added sugar was found in American bread.
2 grams of added
My friends, if you are American and you visit Europe in the past, tell me how do you felt about the bread we have here?
sugar, which is 4%.
Because, you know, we are seeing there is a big culture shock when people eat American bread, right? But probably I would love to know when is basically reverse.
To find just how much added sugar was found in American bread.
2 grams of added sugar, which is 4%. 3 grams of added sugar, 6%.
Now, there's a couple of things to add here beyond sugar. Number one, the addition of added sugar is supposedly intentional in order to prolong the life of the bread. And pound for pound, I have found that American bread takes a bit longer to turn green. I was a student in England, so I've got a lot of experience in this field. But the other thing to point out is not all American bread is sweet. Since giving up added sugar, I've mostly turned to sourdough or rye. Some of which have 0 added sugar, which tastes great with some strawberry jam, which I've just realised has added sugar.
Are you scared of all the guns? Oh, controversial, my friends.
Number 3, are you scared of all the guns? And I would say not all of them. I used to love the Super Soaker 5000. And in fact, it's a weird one this, because while guns are definitely used to kill more people in America than they are in Britain, I don't particularly live in fear of them because number 1, I'm an optimist. Some would say a blind optimist. And number 2, so long as you stay in the right part of town and or don't become a member of a gang, there's a good chance that you can go 16 years living in America without seeing gun violence firsthand. Now, that's not to say, of course, that America hasn't had many well-documented mass shooting events. And these, of course, horrific as they are, paint a picture that there are shootings on every corner of every city at every second of every day. I don't mean to come...
My friends, this is a sensitive topic probably. I'm going to share my position. I basically don't care in the sense that it's your country, you guys make your own rules. But I would love to know your perspective on this, in the sense that do you guys think there will ever be a time that the government makes guns illegal, or is that something that you guys think no, no chance that will happen? Because we see people talking about that from time to time, right? Honestly, the more I know you guys, I feel like that's almost impossible because Americans really like freedom, and I think guns are a pet to that. But I don't know. I mean, we see at least some politicians talking about that. I would love to know if you guys really, sorry for going so long on this, but I really would love to know if you guys think it's possible that one day the guns go away. You know, I don't think it's possible, but I would love to know your perspective.
Come here with that false impression, because otherwise you won't ever leave your hotel. And I can hear my Uncle Toby right now, but Lawrence, there are 30,000 gun-related deaths in America every year. And that is a big number, but you have to keep in mind that unfortunately, over half of those are suicides. But even though this is a very serious subject, I wanted to answer it, because while there clearly are people in this country who will pick up a gun and do the unthinkable, your chances of dying in this way during a given year, never mind a 2-week visit, are approximately 1 in 32,000. So don't worry too much and just be vigilant. Okay, can we get back to the comedy stuff now?
My friends, before we go into the before we go into that one, I'm gonna go to America next year. And I don't even worry about me being safe. I think America overall is very safe. I think a lot of these are stereotypes and people trying to talk down in America for some reason. America is still a very, very safe country. Wait, do Americans think you know the Queen? Lawrence?
Thanks. The next question. Oh, get this all the time. Do Americans think you know the Queen? No, because she's dead. But also, despite this being a kind of stereotype of Americans, I've received this question, or a question along these lines, precisely once. I was in a training class back when I worked in a call centre, and in those call centre training classes, you get a big mishmash of many different types of people. And I was put with this one fellow who was weirdly obsessed with my accent, who kept bombarding me with questions, one of which was, why do you call soccer football? Happens in reverse. And his question...
Wait, that happens in reverse also. That's amazing.
Question was something along the lines of, did you used to live near the Queen? And even though I don't think he meant it in this way, I suppose relatively speaking I did, because I lived in London. She lived in London. We were like buddies. But I got the sense that he meant, did you live in the same apartment complex? And the thought of the Queen paying rent is quite laughable because she's dead.
My friends, Portugal don't have a king slash queen. So for me, it's quite fascinating to see other countries that still have that. Do you guys feel the same? Because you guys also don't don't have one. It's kind of crazy to see it nowadays. Seems such a thing of the past, right? But I mean, certain countries still like that. I don't know.
Why is it called the World Series when only Americans play? And once again, that is completely and utterly a little bit false. Because it's not just American teams. There's a Canadian
What? Okay, Canadian, but it's not. But wait, there is NBA Canadian teams.
one as well. And secondly, I need to dispel a myth. For the longest time, it was believed that the baseball competition's name came from the fact that they were sponsored by the New York World Telegram newspaper. The assertion being that they took the word world, try saying that after 4 whiskeys, and named it that with utterly no pretension of being a global competition. But that theory has since been debunked. Instead, the real origin of the name is this. In 1903, the owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates challenged his counterpart at the Boston Red Sox to what he dubbed a World Championship Series.
What?
Because at the time, the Pirates were the best team in the National League and the Red Sox were the best team in the American League. And why the National League and the American League don't mean the same thing, I'll never know. But it seems like he used it ironically and it sort of just stuck and then evolved into the World Series. There is, of course, a baseball competition that does include different countries, and that is the World Baseball Classic, which is sort of like a dime store version of the FIFA World Cup, but with baseball. Why do American tourists in Britain tell you the state they're from before they name their country? And I too have experience with this because when I met my American wife over in England, my first words to her were, "Hi, I'm Lawrence. I was named after the actor Laurence Olivier. Isn't that impressive?" But my second words to her were, "Where are you from?" To which she answered, "Indiana." And I've never asked her about that.
Yeah,
Maybe she said Indiana because I assumed from her accent that she was from the United States. But actually, when I asked her it, I remember thinking, well, you could be Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
I could end up looking like a right numpty if I assume your Americanness. But equally, for those of us who have a bit of geographical nous, I know from the answer Indiana that she is from the United States. The problem is, not everybody in Britain knows all of the 50 states. Not everybody in America does, come to that. So I suppose in some ways it is kind of weird, but then on the other hand, I think Americans do carry a little bit of pride in their roots, as in where they came from, not their hair, although in my wife's case, both. And so maybe it's a manifestation of that. It's sort of like when Americans go around wearing their college jumpers / sweaters. Because I think
my friends, I find it so beautiful that you guys are so patriotic. The other day I ended up asking for photos of you having a flag at home, and I got so many photos. It's kind of touching, actually. And this also happens to me. You guys always tend to tell me what state you are from, and I'm gonna do something really special on this video. The comment section is for you, my friend. Tell me from what state you are watching right now, because I take a look at most comments and I really love how patriotic you guys are about your country and a lot of times also about your state.
I think it might be to Americans a status symbol. I've no idea actually why they do that. Sorry, I've just made most of that up. Let me know in the comments why you do it, if you do. Actually, there's a decent chance that you don't, because of this.
Why don't most Americans have a passport? Oh man, this is easy because America is so big and so beautiful, right? That you need to explore America first, and that can take years, maybe a lifetime.
Why don't many Americans own passports? Well, as I said in a video that I did all about this a few years ago, the answer is multifaceted. Firstly, while only 42% of Americans own a passport compared to 86% of Brits, significantly more Americans these days do own a passport than they did 30 years ago, which was approximately when I first started hearing about this stereotype. And secondly, there's this perception that America is so huge and packed with variety that you could just do all of your traveling here. And while that isn't necessarily an idea that I subscribe to, it is one that many Americans do. And because arguably way more Americans than Brits have family members and friends that live 1,000 miles away in the same country, sometimes in order to see them, that necessitates that they take a holiday within the country. But it's not.
My friends, also think about this. If you know a European, or let's go with a European, that tells you, I visit 50 countries, you guys would go, man, that's insane. But you could visit 50 states in America and you just say, I visit just America. But in reality, you kind of visited 50 countries because all the states are so different. Man, I love America.
Cheap. Domestic flights can get up to $1,000. And so that would be one of the other reasons that a lot of Americans don't travel internationally, is they simply can't afford it. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah.
What? Oh, they can afford it because of time. I thought it was because of money. Because I mean, come on, there is quite countries that make way less than America and they still travel.
But it's not cheap. Domestic flights can get up to $1,000. And so that would be one of the other reasons that a lot of Americans don't travel internationally, is they simply can't afford it. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, Lawrence, but isn't it also down to a lack of curiosity on the part of Americans? And I think it would be hard to argue that there isn't an element of that, but that just comes down to what they're exposed to. If you compare the news cycles of both Britain and America, the BBC reports on countries from all over the world, even countries that don't have oil. How mad is that? Whereas when America
is very self-centric, if that makes sense. I mean, number one country in the world, this is also normal. No, don't get me wrong, but this is a great argument.
Countries from all over the world, even countries that don't have oil. How mad is that? Whereas when America provides international reports, it's usually on countries that they have a vested interest in due to their foreign policy. So I think America just isn't exposed to other countries as much, and this is heightened, of course, by the fact that they are bordered only by Mexico and Canada. If you go over to Britain, we're bordered by the sea, but then the rest of Europe with all of the countries that come with that. Now, that's not to say that no Americans travel abroad, otherwise I wouldn't have met my wife and or moved to the United States and started this very channel. So I'm glad she did.
So the thing about this is, even very recently I saw, I assume, but I'm pretty sure, Americans here in my city, because the accent was quite easy to spot that was American. I thought about start talking with them, but then I remember all the videos that Americans went to their personal space and I was a bit shy. No chance.
Well, if I've learned anything today, it's that on YouTube you can talk about guns and bread in the same video. But I've also learned that I didn't share housing facilities with the Queen. Let me know in the comments what you've learned today. And if you've not had a chance to watch the first part in this series, 7 questions that Americans always ask me about Britain.
Oh, friends, should I watch that one? I said leave me a like, but I'm gonna change it. Of course, you can also leave me a like, but leave me the number 7, actually. Makes sense. If I should watch that one, because I'm so curious. And if you guys enjoy, I feel like you guys enjoy this type of reactions, right? So this could be so much fun.
Brits and British people, you'll watch that video next. In the meantime, goodbye.
Okay. Oh my God, he's going to that video.
Hello.
Well, friends, thank you so much for watching this with me. Really means a lot. You guys end up staying until the end. And see you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.